I never expected to find some human dentures in the bedroom. He immediately thought of Henrik's braces. Looking up, he saw some red drops on the curtain in front. Upon opening the door, he realized things were bad, as pilot Carter was preparing to take Olaf to the hospital. Xiaoyu rushed out, signaling the helicopter to please don't take off. Fortunately, Carter had just taken off and could see what Xiaoyu was signaling. After a few seconds of thought, Xiaoyu caught a glimpse of a fishing fly. He decided to land first, but Olaf in the back seat was throwing a fit, looking pretty sick. Jenny on the other side quickly tried to comfort him. "Don't worry, Olaf." But the next moment, Jenna's face started twitching. It looked like it was splitting in half. He tore his shirt open and instantly tentacles burst from his belly. Xiaoyu and others on the ground were unaware as the helicopter crashed into the valley. Everyone was in shock. The weather was perfect. How did it crash? Only Xiaoyu suspected that maybe there was a monster lurking in the base. He planned to share this discovery with his teammates. He walked into the bathroom and was stunned by what he saw. The previous snow maiden was now completely gone, meaning there might still be monsters hiding among the team. The professor suggested searching the base, but Xiaoyu returned. He declared that no one could leave the base, expressing his belief that the giant roach wasn't dead, but was rather replicating by offing its comrades. Adam could back him up, but when everyone turned to him, he shook his head, unsure. Still, what Xiaoyu said was clearly plausible. A random girl pulled out some scissors and dentures, explaining that the monster can replicate all their traits but can't copy inorganic objects. At that moment, everyone was focused on saving Carter and company, totally ignoring Xiaoyu's warning. But as everyone left, Julia, who had been standing in the corner, suddenly stood up. She suspected Karin might be a clone because she saw her just come out of the bath. At that time, Karin was about to leave, thinking the other team members might be in danger, and Xiaoyu was sweating bullets. Julie suddenly blurted out, "Just hide the car keys, and no one can leave." Xiaoyu was blindsided while reaching for the keys. Behind, Julia suddenly mutated. Turns out she was the roach clone all along. Luckily, the girl was quicker on her feet, zigzagging through the shelves to escape. Meanwhile, outside, Carl was having a bad day. Just as Xiaoyu dashed past, she was oblivious to her fate, impaled in the chest by mutant Julia. Thankfully, a companion with the flamethrower arrived just in time. As Xiaoyu burst through the door, the other was ready to blaze away while keeping an eye on her. "It's like playing a really weird game of peekaboo over there." The instant she pushed the door open, she engulfed the duplicate in a sea of flames. "Seems like this guy's got some brains. He even came up with the idea of going to the kitchen to cool down." But there's no way Ped was going to let her in. To get revenge, they disinfected the clone again. Fearing it wasn't thorough enough, they even dug a pit outside. They completely cremated the clone and the fallen comrades, thinking they were finally out of danger. But Xiaoyu had other ideas. Anyone who got attacked by the giant roach might be its clone. Maybe it's lurking among them right now. So no one is allowed to leave the base, or the whole world could face annihilation. The professor came up with an idea: just draw some blood for testing. Soon, they would know who among them was a clone. As everyone returned, Pet quietly pulled Xiaoyu aside, discovering a hidden grenade. They nodded. Maybe it was the worst-case plan. The professor didn't know why this was happening and was taken aback. Since it's unclear whose friend or foe, Xiaoyu and the other hid the grenade. The three headed back inside when Carter and Big Black emerged from the dark. The two looked as stiff as ice sculptures, but Xiaoyu didn't feel a bit of sympathy for them. After all, who knew if Carter and Big Black were clones too? So they locked them in a storage room. Carter insisted they weren't clones, but with the flamethrower aimed at them, they had to comply. Xiaoyu insisted they had to be cautious. After a successful test, they could be released. Who would have guessed that as they stepped outside? The lab was suddenly engulfed in flames. Clearly, the clones didn't want to be exposed. Everyone panicked, fearing an ambush from the clones lurking in the shadow. But who would have thought Xiaoyu had a plan? Hadn't it been mentioned that clones can't replicate inorganic objects, like dentures or braces? So the girl suggested they start inspecting everyone one by one to find the clones. She borrowed a flashlight from Pet and began examining everyone's teeth. This was the simplest way to spot the clones, but it sparked complaints from the others. "You can't just assume we're clones because we didn't eat candy as kids." In the end, their protests fell on deaf ears. They all knew it was too dangerous. Who cared about relationships? No one was off the hook. Ultimately, for the majority's safety, after isolating suspects, Sioyu had Lars bring Carter and Big Black over as they were suspects. But who could have guessed that when they arrived at the storage room, Carter and the others were gone, leaving only a sizable hole in the wall. They concluded that indeed, they must be clones. There's no way they could have just vanished. Lars was so furious that he charged out with his flamethrower. Ignoring his companion's shouts, he marched into another room, only to be dragged inside by something. His fellow was utterly terrified. He turned around and pounded on the door in a frenzy. The whole team panicked. Should they go save him or stay put? Just then, a loud crash of shattered glass made them realize they needed to take action. Under Pid's lead, they rushed toward the sound, only to run smack into Carter and the others. Had thought they were Carter and Big Black, wanting to avenge him. But Big Black sensed trouble and shot Pid down before he knew it. The others rushed to check what happened. But unexpectedly, the flamethrower's fuel oil leaked and exploded amidst the chaos. Edward got knocked out cold, while Carter had to prove he wasn't a clone, getting Hirsch, Jonas, and Jameson to help him as they went to figure things out. Just then, Edward's arm twitched, seemingly gaining a mind of its own, grabbing Jonas' arm. Even as he yelled for help, no one dared approach until Jonas found his mouth covered. Meanwhile, Edward started mutating, causing everyone to scream in terror while Carter's flamethrower. Unfortunately, Carter's flamethrower malfunctioned, leaving him helpless as mutated Edward stretched out his tongue.